I'm an actor by trade, but I'm an activist by nature. Somebody who's always believed that we must find the balance between what we develop for our survival and what we preserve for survival.
Robert Redford, often deemed a magnet for misfortune, has finally unveiled his tragic trials spanning nearly 9 decades, crushed by numerous hardships, loss, illness, natural disasters, and broken marriages. As he approaches 90, many wonder about the man behind the Hollywood legend and the life he leads today. In this video, we'll delve into the surprising and often poignant reality of Robert Redford's life. He almost died of polio. Despite the artistic contributions and positivity Robert Redford has brought into the world, his life has been marked by hardship, misfortune, death, dysfunction, calamity, and tragedy. Before his screen debut in the 1960s Tall Story, Redford had encountered more hardships and suffering than a person may experience in a lifetime. Unfortunately, his later years haven't been any kinder. Despite being private, he decided to open up a little in 2011. The collaborative work of Robert Redford and author Michael Feeney Callan resulted in Robert Redford, the Biography, a comprehensive examination of his life. This biography unveiled previously unknown or little-known details about the personal life of the mega-famous actor. One of the most exciting revelations was about Redford's childhood, when, at the age of 11 in the spring of 1949, he woke up with encrusted eyelids and limbs that wouldn't move. It was weeks before anyone told him he had contracted polio. Polio was a devastating disease with severe breathing issues, paralysis, and often fatal outcomes. Polio vaccine was developed in the 1950s and almost got rid of the disease, but Redford was in existence and very much aware of polio in the early 1930s and 1940s. It has been with human society for thousands of years, however. Polio has attained epidemic level in the 20th century. However, most patients were often asymptomatic, and this made it very hard to contain the disease as it transpired from one person to another. In around 2% of cases, polio's severity led to muscle damage and limb paralysis, including the muscles crucial for breathing. The breathing difficulties associated with polio led to the invention of the iron lung, a device that confined thousands of young children and is still used by some today. The campaign to eradicate wild polio is one of science's greatest achievements, but this achievement wasn't available for Redford during his childhood. In the mid-1940s, during a time shadowed by the looming fear of polio, Robert Redford contracted a mild yet incapacitating form of the disease, likely from swimming in the ocean. Unlike severe cases that required iron lungs, Redford's disease confined him to bed for 2 weeks. In those years before Jonas Salk's groundbreaking vaccine, the shadow of polio cast fear over childhood. Iron lungs were a common sight, and the threat of the disease was everywhere. In 2012, Redford directed a short film with the same name as part of the more extensive 3D documentary Cathedrals of Culture dedicated to Jonas Salk. The film was in San Diego, specifically at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies, where Salk's vaccine could rise and defeat the polio disease. Polio was a real threat when Redford was growing up. Thus, Salk's vaccine was earth-shattering news to him. He lost his father figure in prison, and after that, he was just on his own. Robert Redford's early life was brought up in the Los Angeles neighborhood. His parents were Martha and Charles. It has been noted that through this period of the Great Depression, the family was looked after by Charles, a former milkman working for Standard Oil as an accountant. This period was the longest and deepest economic downturn ever in American history. It led to industrial production decline and a high unemployment rate, and families suffered a lot. Charles Redford's demanding work hours left little time for family during this challenging era. Charles's brother David became a surrogate father figure for the future Hollywood icon. Redford, who later explored sports, cerebral pursuits, and the arts, likely drew influence from his time with his well-rounded uncle. David was a talented football player, fluent in 4 languages, making a lasting impression on Redford. During their shared activities, David Redford served in the US military as an interpreter in General George S. Patton's Third Army. Fluent in 4 languages, he played baseball with Robert Redford during furloughs and became an influential figure in his life. As the visits became less frequent, they became more impactful, with David always in uniform, carrying the weight of wartime experiences. Their shared experiences, including movie trips, created lasting memories for Redford. One film that stood out was The Fallen Sparrow with John Garfield, an experience that, although dark and spooky for a young Redford, fostered a love for John Garfield movies. Uncle David's adventurous spirit and willingness to push boundaries impacted Redford, shaping his appreciation for cinema and life at the edge. But then, in the early 1940s, David Redford, the influential uncle in young Robert Redford's life, was called away to combat during World War II. Tragically, he lost his life in the Battle of the Bulge on January 1st, 1945, while involved in a top-secret mission in Germany, killed by sniper fire as part of a small team. The news of David's death took a week to reach home. As Robert Redford was known then, 8-year-old Bobby was fetched from school when the army major arrived with the heartbreaking details. David's death had a profound impact on young Redford, forcing him to confront the harsh realities of human mortality and truth. However, grief support was scarce in the Redford family. The prevailing attitude was to accept things without discussing or questioning them. This stoic approach, rooted in the family's Irish and Scottish heritage, meant that tragic events were endured without much expression or dialogue. Redford's family was not emotionally available. They didn't talk much, complain, or openly express emotions. When Redford's mother faced the loss of twin girls after birth, the family adhered to the same silent approach. There was no discussion about the tragedy. It was accepted as part of life's challenges, and everyone moved forward gracefully. This upbringing in a family that faced adversity with resilience and quiet strength contributed to Redford's approach to life's difficulties. Redford and Natalie Wood. Despite the tragedies of his early childhood, Redford would meet people who would become very close to him later in life. In the 1950s, Van Nuys High School in Southern California shared its academic halls with two future screen legends, Robert Redford and Natalie Wood. While they didn't cross paths during high school, their destinies would intertwine later. During high school, Redford was an athlete, and Wood was already a renowned child star from Miracle on 34th Street, and soon to be an Oscar nominee for Rebel Without a Cause. However, it was in the 1960s that these two would become collaborators and close friends. Their partnership blossomed in films like Inside Daisy Clover and This Property is Condemned, where Redford landed a breakthrough Golden Globe-winning role thanks to Wood's recommendation. The two also appeared in the movie The Candidate, where Wood appeared for a cameo and Redford was married to one of her characters. However, there was some misfortune encountered in 1981 when Nash Equilibrium actress Natalie Wood drowned during a yachting trip with her husband, Robert Wagner, and actor Christopher Walken in the waters of Catalina Island. Wood died, and the specifics concerning when and how she even submerged in the water are unclear and up for debate now. Wood's death at 43 was a profound loss, given her multiple Academy Award nominations and illustrious career. Her fear of water has been deeply rooted since childhood, which adds an eerie layer to the tragedy. According to her sister, Lana Wood, the mere idea of Natalie boarding a dinghy raised concerns, hinting that her demise might not have been a simple accident, especially considering her lifelong fear of large bodies of water. Lana stated that her sister, Natalie Wood, would never intentionally place herself in the circumstances leading to her tragic death. Natalie harbored a deep fear of water and wouldn't even venture into a swimming pool. Given this fear, Lana believed Natalie wouldn't have attempted to leave the yacht for the shore alone, especially not in a nightgown. The circumstances surrounding Natalie Wood's death remain subject to speculation and uncertainty. In the aftermath of Wood's untimely demise, Robert Redford was profoundly affected by the loss of his friend. He broke his typically private behavior to express their deep connection. In a heartfelt tribute on Turner Classic Movies and interviews for the HBO documentary What Remains Behind in 2020, Redford lamented the unfortunate end of his friend. He shared his sorrow over the tragic loss of Natalie Wood and wished that their paths could have crossed again. If you thought the story of Redford and Natalie Wood was surprising, brace yourself, because we're about to reveal the heartbreaking loss of his mother. The loss of his mother. The death of Natalie Wood wasn't the first time Redford lost an important woman in his life. The Utah Women's Leadership Celebration event was held during the 2018 Sundance Film Festival, with the audience leaving in tears after this touching speech Robert Redford paid to his mother, Martha Redford. Indeed, his childhood burdened with polio attack also contained a severe family loss that consequently hastened his mother's death. When Robert was merely 10 years old, Martha gave birth to twin girls against her doctor's advice. Her previous pregnancy had already been medically challenging, but she wanted children again. The twins died immediately after birth, and amidst the chaos, Martha developed a persistent blood disorder. This condition, lingering from that traumatic episode, culminated in a bleeding that claimed her life in 1955 when Robert was only 18 years old. Despite the challenges, Martha steadfastly supported her son during his teenage years. While acknowledging he hadn't made things easy, Robert emphasized her enduring faith in him. She believed he possessed something that would eventually turn out all right, a belief tragically unfulfilled as she passed away at 40, just 5 years before his screen debut. During the tribute, Redford praised his mother's infectious smile, adventurous spirit, and unwavering positivity. He expressed regret in front of an audience of famous actors, including longtime friend Jane Fonda. He regretted that he hadn't fully appreciated her in her lifetime. Redford admitted to taking her for granted during his youth because that's how people were. He now yearns for the chance to express gratitude to his mother, but she passed away before he could convey that gratitude to her. Tensions in his teenage years. In the post-World War II era, Robert Redford's childhood in Southern California unfolded against the backdrop of tremendous racism and heightened racial tensions. The young Redford found himself stuck in race-related gang conflicts, becoming a target for bullying and aggression from local gang members. Surprisingly, the esteemed Hollywood figure had a rebellious streak in his teenage years. Growing up in Van Nuys, Redford was no stranger to trouble, actively participating in a street gang. Among his teen years' challenges and risky antics, a dangerous dare nearly cost him his life. Felix, a fellow teenager, targeted Redford, likely fueled by envy stemming from Redford attending a good school, his track success, and his popularity with girls. The bullying intensified, prompting Redford to toughen up quickly, a necessary adaptation for survival. In a particularly dangerous dare, teenage Redford was forced onto a rooftop. Eager to display a facade of toughness, he accepted the potentially lethal challenge of jumping off the roof. The daring leap was taken to show his masculinity, but it became a life-threatening ordeal. The jump almost killed Redford. Robert Redford's early encounters with fear forged his perspective. You have two choices, either confront your fears or be led by them. The choices were stark, an early lesson that would shape his trajectory. As a youth, Redford's audacity in jumping off the rooftop solidified his standing among his friends. Despite narrowly avoiding serious injury, he continued his ventures where petty theft, wildly swiping alcohol from nearby stores, became a favorite pastime. In later years, Redford's rebellion took varied forms, from experimenting with hashish and marijuana to delving into the illegal drag racing subculture in Santa Barbara. A daring crash at 90 miles per hour during one such race, mentioned in his biography, left him lucky to survive. The rebellious streak continued until age 16 when brushes with the law escalated. Redford faced arrest for possession of stolen jewelry, marking the end of his life of crime. If you thought the tensions in his teenage years and his life of crime were surprising, brace yourself because we're about to reveal why he dropped out of college. He dropped out of college. In his late teens, Robert Redford transitioned away from his involvement in criminal activities but didn't immediately embrace a more conventional lifestyle. After graduating from Van Nuys High School in 1954 with commendable grades and an impressive sports background, he gained acceptance to the University of Colorado at Boulder through a sports scholarship. Initially drawn by the university's baseball program, Redford soon shifted his focus to studying art, abandoning his sports ambitions. Struggling to integrate socially, Redford found companionship with a senior member of the Kappa Sigma fraternity. This newfound social circle helped him escape isolation, fostering increased artistic output. However, it also became a catalyst for his downfall. Within a few months, Redford immersed himself in campus drinking culture, participating in excessive alcohol consumption, engaging in pranks, and prioritizing activities like drag racing and motorcycle riding over academics. While Redford became popular within the drinking circles, his erratic behavior earned him a reputation as a loose cannon. The specifics of the incident leading to his departure from the Kappa Sigma fraternity and subsequent expulsion from college remain unmentioned in the authorized biography, leaving room for speculation about the severity of his actions. Redford's college journey was cut short at the end of the day. After the death of his mother before he was 18, he began to drink, and his drinking became worse after losing his baseball scholarship. Since he lost his scholarship, he could not make ends meet, meaning he had to drop out from the University of Colorado after only a year and a half. But this was a pivotal juncture in Redford's life, steering him toward a different trajectory. His education continued. Following the scholarship setback, Redford embarked on learning to paint in Florence and Paris. Later, he enrolled in New York's American Academy of Dramatic Arts, continuing his pursuit of knowledge. The good thing is that the University of Colorado's decision didn't extend to a broader Redford ban. Two of the actor's children, Shauna and Jamie, were later welcomed into the institution. We already know that Robert Redford is very private, but did you know he is almost 90 and how he lives is sad? Don't believe us? Look at this picture, for example. Considering his many hardships, he's aged gracefully in most photos, but this has puzzled us. Redford looks significantly older in this photo, or this is how he looks. Some even say Redford has undergone plastic surgery, which is a photo from before. Now we're curious about where this photo of Robert Redford came from and why he looks so different. So that's where you, the viewer, come in. Let us know in the comment section below if you know anything about this mystery. We can't wait for your answers. Early marriage. His later career was marked by acclaimed performances in The Company You Keep, 2012, All Is Lost, 2013, and Captain America. The show includes The Winter Soldier, 2014. In December 2017, he revealed his retirement from acting, and in his final bow, he starred in The Old Man and the Gun. For several years, he was the husband of Sybille Rakeen, one of the lucky few in Hollywood, the place where marriages do not last very long. Closer Weekly identified Lola Van Wagenen as Redford's wife. The couple tied the knot in 1958 before Redford rose to stardom as an actor and director. The husband and wife did not build a good basis for their marriage. During a scene in the movie, Redford admits that part of him wanted to get married to prove something to his family. Some of his relatives felt that he would either go mad, achieve nothing in life, or die young, and he was determined to show them the opposite, the paper reports. Despite their unsteady roots, this couple had only $300 in the capital between them at the time of their wedding. Divorce. Still, they have been married for almost 3 decades, so one cannot accept such an outcome. Redford and Van Wagenen were able to raise 3 children and see them to adulthood. However, the life and fame affected the couple and they divorced in 1985 as people informed the public. Redford said about this period, "I got lost for a time," but he attributed this confusion to his state after the divorce. After his divorce, Redford had several partners, including the film actress Sonia Braga and the costume designer Kathy O'Rear, but no lasting union. However, it was not until 1996 that he was to meet his 4th wife, Sybille Sagers, who is an artist and about 19 years younger than him. Their interaction developed close as they worked together for a long time and married in 2009. This relationship brought Redford a lot of companionship and stability, especially in his later years, and he got to have a partner in art and life from which he benefited. Redford's reflections on love and relationships mirror the fierceness and struggle that great men go through. A little over a decade after experiencing the immediate loss of his newborn twin siblings, Robert Redford faced another devastating tragedy, the death of his child. Redford married in 1958 to Lola Van Wagenen, a Los Angeles-based historian. From the Mirror, it was found that the couple ran away and settled in New York, where Redford attended the Pratt Institute and started his acting. After getting a job in 1959, they had children, and from the blessed children, the couple was blessed with 3 surviving children. However, their firstborn son, Scott Mowry, died at just the young age of 10 weeks due to sudden infant death syndrome, commonly known as SIDS, which is unknown and remains a mystery to this date. Looking back to this sad time, Redford explained this period and his strength to continue coming through such a personal tragedy. His second son had health complications. 3 years after the heartbreaking loss of their first son, Scott, Robert Redford and Lola Van Wagenen faced another ordeal with the premature birth of their second son, Jamie, 7 weeks ahead of schedule. Born with a respiratory problem, Jamie's life hung in the balance, mirroring the traumatic experience they had gone through before. To make matters worse, Lola's life was also in danger. In 1962, Jamie Redford entered the world prematurely, diagnosed with hyaline membrane disease, the same condition that had afflicted John F. Kennedy's second son, Patrick. Given a slim 40% chance of survival, Jamie and his mother Lola defied the odds, bringing immense relief to the Redford family. However, the challenges for Jamie did not end there. In his teenage years, he developed ulcerative colitis, a chronic digestive condition leading to colon inflammation, infections, and blood flow problems. Complications from colitis led to cirrhosis, and at the age of 31, Jamie underwent a liver transplant. Not only did Jamie face the removal of his colon, but he also had to undergo a transplant. Despite the initial relief, the first transplant did not resolve Jamie's health issues, requiring another transplant. Robert Redford described the search for a compatible organ during these desperate times as the worst 12 weeks of their lives. While filming Quiz Show Me Art in New York, Redford would fly to Omaha every weekend to be by Jamie's side during his hospitalization. Surviving the arduous journey, Jamie slowly recovered after the second transplant, facing severe complications. Yet he survived and thrived, continuing a successful career as a filmmaker and producer for 3 more decades. Jamie Redford's resilience and perseverance in the face of severe health challenges stand as a testament to his strength and the support of his family during these trying times. If you thought his second son's health complications were surprising, brace yourself because we're about to reveal how Redford's son died of liver cancer. Robert Redford hinted at the challenges his children faced in a 1998 interview with People magazine, debunking the notion that his life was easy. The actor expressed the difficulty of dealing with his children's issues, emphasizing the undisclosed struggles his family endured. For him, the worst thing in the world was when his children suffered despite his rising fame. The hardships persisted and tragedy struck in October 2020 when Robert Redford and his ex-wife Lola Van Wagenen faced the unthinkable, the loss of their son James at 58 due to liver cancer. James had grappled with liver problems, leading to a transplant in 1993. He later founded an institute to raise awareness about the procedure. In 2019, while awaiting another transplant, James received the devastating diagnosis of bile duct cancer. A year later, his wife Kyle confirmed his passing on Twitter, expressing heartbreak. Robert Redford mourned with his family and sought privacy during this challenging time. Publicist Cindy Berger, in a statement to People, conveyed the immeasurable grief experienced by Robert Redford, describing James as a loving son, husband, and father. Despite the sorrow, James's legacy endures through his children, artistic contributions, filmmaking, and dedicated commitment to conservation and the environment. The statement emphasized James Redford's profound impact on those who loved him and the lasting imprint of his life's work. But tragically, this wouldn't be the only child of Redford's to face such hardship. His daughter's fiancé was murdered. In 1961, Robert Redford's eldest daughter Shauna entered the world and eventually found her passion in art. However, her life took a tragic turn in the early 1980s, intertwined with the unfortunate tale of her college sweetheart, Sid Wells. During their time at the University of Colorado, Sid Wells, a journalism student, rented a room in his apartment to Thane Smiker in January 1983. Within 8 months, tragedy struck when Sid was discovered lifeless, a victim of a gunshot wound to the head. The police identified Thane Smiker as their prime suspect, mainly because he was due to pay rent on the day of the grim discovery. Despite Smiker's arrest, a lack of compelling evidence led to his release. He later relocated to California, abandoning his car mysteriously fingerprint-free in Beverly Hills in 1986. Since then, Smiker has vanished, leaving the murder officially unsolved. In 2010, renewed forensic evidence pointed to Smiker, prompting a warrant for his arrest. Despite efforts to locate him, he remains at large, including age-progressed mugshots. For the Redford family, the tragedy didn't end there. 8 months after Wells's death, Shauna faced her peril while driving her Ford Bronco near Salt Lake City. She lost control and plunged into the icy Jordan River. A local hero, Doreen Staker Rivers, witnessed the accident and bravely dove into the river to rescue Shauna as she lost consciousness in the icy water. Robert Redford expressed profound gratitude and invited Rivers to the premiere of The Natural Universe in 1984, a film that had momentarily halted production to allow the star to attend Wells's funeral, an event he initially contemplated skipping due to concerns about press intrusion. Reflecting on the tragic incident in 1997, Redford admitted to being haunted by its memory, likening it to a partially opened door, revealing a very dark room. His success. Robert Redford's ascent to stardom began in 1967 with Barefoot in the Park, alongside Jane Fonda, who expressed deep admiration for him. Despite her infatuation, their relationship remained platonic. Fonda recalled Redford as a fantastic kisser, but noted his aversion to love scenes. A pivotal moment in Redford's career came with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, co-starring Paul Newman. Initially, the studio considered heavyweight names like Marlon Brando and Warren Beatty. However, after meeting Redford, Newman insisted on casting the lesser-known actor, creating a remarkable partnership. Their on-screen chemistry propelled the film to an $80 million box office triumph. This marked the start of Newman and Redford's incredible friendship, lasting until Newman's passing in 2008. Beyond their cinematic collaboration, Newman supported Redford during the unfortunate end of his 28-year marriage to Lola. The heart of their friendship rested in shared laughter. Redford, known for his humor, once gifted Newman a present for his 50th birthday, a dented, engineless Porsche wrapped with a bow. Newman had the car crushed and returned to Redford unfazed. Redford repurposed the lump into a garden sculpture and delivered it to Newman a mile away in Connecticut. Their antics included unspoken agreements never to acknowledge the tricks played on each other. They never mentioned the Porsche. For Redford, this friendship created a deep-rooted bond in his heart. While Redford garnered praise for his role as Sundance and was often admired for his looks, the constant focus on his appearance became a burden. The actor was denied a part in The Graduate because he had never experienced rejection by a woman. This led him to view his chiseled appearance as a constraint, desiring recognition based on his acting ability rather than his looks. A passion for acting drove his entry into the profession, and he took pride in the authenticity of his performances. Despite becoming a grandfather of 7 and amassing a £150 million fortune from blockbuster hits like The Way We Were, Indecent Proposal, and All the President's Men, Redford preferred low-key celebrations. He resides with his second wife, Sybil Zaggers, in the tranquil expanse of his 6,000-acre Utah ranch. Reflecting on aging, Redford appreciates the diminishing emphasis on his looks, allowing him to be recognized for his craft rather than superficial attributes. His family gathers at the Utah ranch for his birthdays, eschewing glamour for quiet moments amidst the scenic beauty. Environmental activism. Robert Redford's legacy spans the entertainment industry and environmental advocacy, showcasing his immense impact beyond the silver screen. He has been a long-time advocate for environmental conservation and renewable energy, serving on the Natural Resources Defense Council Board and supporting various initiatives through the Redford Center. His commitment to ecological causes underscores his dedication to making a positive impact. Redford has left an indelible mark in film through his versatile roles, directorial excellence, and support for independent cinema. The Sundance Film Festival, which he founded, remains a significant platform for emerging filmmakers, ensuring that Redford's influence will resonate for generations. Robert Redford's life story is a blend of remarkable achievements and profound tragedies. His journey from a young actor with a passion for art to a Hollywood icon and environmental advocate is a testament to his enduring impact and unwavering dedication to his craft and the causes he believes in.